Freaking out there. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid. You work for us.
Here we go, another Sunday, another show. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Don't forget, if you want to listen on the internet all over the world, you can go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. First of all, I would like to say a big ciao, a big hi to all my listeners, not just in the tri-state area where you can listen to the frequencies I just said, but also for my brothers and sisters in freedom around the world. I realized that internet gave me the opportunity to reach out people that I never had a chance even to know where they are. I mean, seriously, it's amazing. So I would like to say hi to all, a very thank you for all your support and also for listening, and also for your feedback to all my friends around the world that I consider you friends, if I never met you. The fact that I've been around now for almost, more than 4 years on the air and on the internet, and some of you still listening, I'm pretty humble. So thank you very much to everybody there in England, Scotland, Germany, Italy, Sweden, Norway, wherever you are. I appreciate it. Australia, New Zealand. All right, now listen, let's little bit. Today I would like to do a different show. I like to have guests, but sometimes I like just to focus on the news and do my little rants. Today is going to be about news and pretty much what I think about things, because I'm not a news guy. I'm just commentator. I give you my opinion on facts, and I try always to give you, of course, my perception and also what I would like to do, because what I see here, it's a complete an attack, continuous attack on our rights. And it's, of course, America, I really believe it is the last bastion, the last standing wall when it comes down from the complete dissolution and the destruction of our rights, especially created and planned by the global elite. Yes, I have completely knowledge, or at least the convictions of what I'm saying. I mean, what is happening here in America, it is just something already happened around the world. And I've been thinking about that lately a lot. Think about it. And when I talk about the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, it's just let's say, the pinnacle. Because after all, it's a right that is so unique that no other country really, there is no even, in places like Switzerland, it's a right. It's still a privilege controlled by the state. So they really want to destroy our Bill of Rights. Of course, the First Amendment is already something that, around the world is being mostly destroyed. But the Second Amendment is something that really the global elite cannot let it happen. So, the point is, you heard about this Texas shooting at the school. I don't want to go into many details because you already had probably enough details from the mainstream news, okay? But let's put it this way. Texas, Santa Fe, this young man, because he's a young man, even he's evil, because if allegedly, of course, he's still not being found guilty. So let's give him always, in America, at least this system, the way it is, and I'm glad. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So it's alleged, shooter. He is a 17-year-old man, and this really already there destroys most of these gun control debates of the last few months. After the Florida shooting, they wanted to increase the age to 21. Guess what? This guy is 17. Okay. And he even didn't have to buy a gun. He just stole it from his father. Guess what? It was even an AR-15. It was a shotgun. I know many of these, control medias mainstream medias, they call it a less lethal weapon. Are you kidding me? Every weapon, if it's used correctly, and if you use, more important, with the knowledge and also with the determination, it is lethal. I don't care if you have Mosin Nagant, or if you have a black powder, if you have an AR-15. They all can be lethal, okay? The point is the person behind, okay? That's the point. Now, the fact that this time, this 17-year-old young man, used a shotgun, okay? That really destroys all this idea of this assault weapon BS. Because after all, we know very well, it's all a propaganda. The semi-automatic AR-15 style rifles, completely different from the selective fire that normally you would think, in the military, that they're truly assault weapons, at least as the definition. With the selective fire, they can shoot, in semi-automatic, also burst, or 3 rounds burst, also full automatic, some of them. So this guy's finally, here we go, he's shooting a shotgun, and it's as a secondary, backup gun, he has a revolver, 38 special revolver. Not even a semi-automatic handgun that, they try to ban that too, of course. So my point is, it shows you how much all this is completely insane. Simple as that. And that's my point. There is no way you can legislate something that is already being legislated. After all, this man supposed not to have a gun, buy a gun at 17. After all, as we see, this man, he used a shotgun. He was even using an AR-15, and it did a carnage. Think about it. And by the way, a little note: if you really think that the shotgun is a less lethal weapon, let me give you a little bit of information. A shotgun probably is one of the most powerful firearm in the hands of a civilian. Yes, you don't have of course, the reach that you can have with the rifle. After all, rifle, they're famous because they can reach out much further. That's why the barrel, it's rifled, has much more accuracy and stability, in the bullet performance. But the shotgun, at close distances, it is completely the most powerful tool. Okay? Period. I don't care which shotgun. The point is, when you can deliver an ounce of lead, even just burst shots, at 5, 10, 15 yards, and don't even get me going with slugs, 1 ounce slug of full lead, or even steel, some of them. That's something that completely is going to destroy you, kill you on the spot. And if you are lucky, you're going to just lose a limb. Okay, your hand, your arm, and of course will disappear, and then you will bleed to death probably. So my point is, the only reason why shotguns, even in Europe, they're not being completely suppressed like the rifles, because, the fact is the fact. No war, no revolution was ever won with a shotgun. So that even the peasants in Europe are allowed, or they were allowed, to have the shotgun for, survival hunting purposes. But don't get me wrong, the shotgun, the combat shotgun, in the hands of a trained person, or even not trained. Look at this idiot, 17. I don't think he really went to a military academy or any type of real training, but, was good enough to rack the slide and unfortunately completely use it for evil purposes. But my point is, a shotgun can be devastating. Of course, there are some don'ts, or at least a disadvantage with a shotgun. A close distance, they are really powerful, but everything beyond 50 yards, it's very difficult to start to have that type of accuracy that you need, and in that point you will use a rifle. But, most of these massacres, or, shooting in the schools, or even in places of works, they're always made at very close distances. These people, they're not mostly snipers. Very few cases in the past, years ago. But now, lately, these people, they have really not even marksmanship. all they do is just point and shoot. So 10, 15 yards, even closer distances, a shotgun, definitely it is much more powerful too. Now, what I would like to say about that, as I said, there's been already so much said. And you know my position, I don't believe in this collective sense of guilt. I don't believe that now because last night, I'm sure more than one person in America or even around the world has been drinking and driving and committed a crime, maybe hitting somebody or killing somebody. Now we're supposed to be all deny our right to drive a car. Think about it. How many people died last night around the world or in America because they were, hit by a drunk driver? I'm sure thousands every day. Should we now be, penalized and, being guilty because somebody else did something wrong? That's not the way freedom works. That's something out of a bad movie in some sort of totalitarian regime that, by the way, all they want is an excuse because you know very well there is no logic. And they know it. Their final goal, it is not to bring security or safety. Because after all, you know very well that you can put all the signs of gun-free zone you want. You can write all the laws you want. There already are laws out there, so many laws. The point is criminals will ignore all of them. Look in England. I mean, all you have to do is read the news. And this is not something, because I'm saying this because I am pro-guns. No, this is a fact, guys. Look in England, the city of London. It's completely renowned, one of the highest, most violent cities in Europe. And there are so many cases of really violent attacks, especially with knives or acid or any other tool like hammers, things that people are dying, getting hurt. And guess what? You see, guns are replaced easily. And by the way, there's still guns around. I don't care. Criminals, they will never, give up their guns, and they will never comply with any gun laws or gun restrictions, okay? So that's my point. So all I can say, they trying. And by the way, a very important thing, there is a fact. You can see, how the agenda is completely on the open. The Texas shooters was, bullied by coaches, according to what we hear, had some mental problems. That's another, common denominator that I've been talking about that every time. And I try to bring it up. Some of these people probably, many of them, they have been found to be under some sort of mental medications. Now, he had all these communist and Nazi pins, kind of a very, people say, what, is a Nazi, is a communist? It doesn't matter, he's evil. That's the bottom line. He was also worshipping the devil, according to what we saw, at least the symbolism that he had on his Facebook. Illegally obtained these weapons. He entered a gun-free zone, think about it. And now everybody's blaming on not everybody, the left and the propaganda media, they're blaming on the NRA. By the way, I'm not a fan of the NRA. I told you, it's compromised so many times what is done with this assault, with the bump fire stock and all these things. I think it's disgusting, but still, this is not the NRA fault. Give me a break, okay? So that's my point. We need to start to look into reality. All I said, try again. I don't want to spend too much time on this because they will always find an excuse. They always try to find a way to another excuse to go for gun control. At that point, all I can say, I'm talking for myself, okay? I can't talk for other people. I will not comply. And at this point, I will completely expose every politician who will bend over, who will compromise, when we know very well that all it is just an excuse here. That's it. It's an excuse. And it's proven, time after time. Now, let's go to other news. As I said, today I would like to focus on different news happening around the world. Meanwhile, I want to say something. I've been banned on Facebook. My account, facebook.com/Zanna Gianluca, I had 30 days ban. And I tell you why. This is almost amazing. There was somebody, one of my friends said, by the way, I've been banned because I said that Michelle Obama is a tranny, transsexual. And by the way, I really believe she is, or it is, whatever it is. But that doesn't matter. He didn't say anything violent. It's just your opinion. Okay? It's very, honestly, we say even worse things on Facebook. Okay? I see worse things. I see terrible things sometimes, just really like, some people putting out violent comments, or this is not like violence, this is not like about attacking anybody with violence or endangering anybody. It's just your opinion about the sexual status of this individual. Michelle Obama. Michael Obama, I would like to say. So anyway, so what I did, I said, okay, I want to post that too. So I post Michelle Obama is a tranny, and I also said is an ass ugly tranny. Okay? All right. Not even like 30 minutes later, bang, you've been blocked for 30 days. Wow. That shows you really the control. I'm really curious now. I have another account. I will try something different. I'm not a fan of the Bushes at all. You know very well. I think George Bush should be, in my opinion, charged for war crimes and much more. But, I would like to put, just because I want to see, Laura Bush, the former First Lady, she is a tranny. Let's say if I say that, let's say if, what happens if I get banned again? I think, unfortunately, this is mostly something that is connected to the real true agenda of Facebook. Facebook, it has a complete, let's say, declared agenda that fit their, I don't know, I hate to call it liberal, because they are not liberal. These people, they're fascist, okay? But unfortunately, today's liberals in America, they are fascist. So they don't approve, they do not agree with your freedom of speech unless your freedom of speech fits their agenda. That's a fact. So that's it. And I'm not here to preach Christianity or anything, because, I got my own personal religion belief. But I tell you, if you are a Christian, you are in big trouble. Or at least, they will not even let you comment on things as much. Like, for example, if you are, let's say, a Muslim, okay? Or probably they get more rights on a Satanist to express themselves. I'm for all religions, unless your religion is violent. I believe that I don't care what you believe. It's your belief, okay? Who cares? I don't care. It's your life. It's your soul. Do what you want. I'm not here to preach you. But I tell you something, though. If your religion has a problem, that means does not allow other people to exercise their rights, yeah, I don't like it. And I'm not going to be compliant. And I will be your enemy, at least exposing you. Now, talking about this, I want to let you know next week I will have a very interesting show about freedom of speech. And yes, I invite people to come on the show. We will talk and we'll push the limits, because that's the bottom line. We have here, differently from Facebook, America, we have something that our founding fathers left behind. And it's not our rights, because our rights, we have them forever, since the moment we were born. But unfortunately, somebody had to fight and die to be sure that these rights, that now they've been, enumerated, in our Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, remember, that does not give us rights, but remind us of our rights. That's the bottom line. More important, reminds the government that we have these rights and they're unalienable. That's the bottom line. So, I want to do a show next Sunday that probably if I was around the world, in most of the countries, especially in Europe, I would be banned, fined, censored, because this is something important. And why I'm doing this, I will have a guest, even maybe two guests. Some of these guests, they may be very controversial. Doesn't mean that I agree or not with them. I may probably agree on most of the things, but regardless, these people doing something that I believe that is important to keep these muscles of our rights, because rights are like muscles, alive. If you try, for example, to burn a Quran in Europe, you will be, first of all, beaten, probably killed by the mob, and of course also they call it hate crimes now, especially in England, Norway, Sweden, many other countries, even Italy. You will be probably at least civilly sued, even maybe arrested. Yeah, that's the bottom line. So you don't have freedom of speech. Now, let me tell you something, talking about freedom of speech, how also we are losing it. Look at Facebook, I just told you. Facebook is a private entity. I understand they can pretty much do whatever they damn please, but that's not exactly, it's up to us at this point if you want to stay on Facebook or not. But it's not just Facebook anymore. There is, people that they try to exercise their rights during political debates. I understand. Maybe they may be loud, or maybe they may be even disturbing a little bit the event. I understand. But to use violence and force against especially a senior man, an older man, just because he's peacefully exercising his opinion, even if it disrupts the meeting, I understand. There is a point that excessive force is excessive force. And it is happening in America. Let me show you this. Probably, you cannot see it, but at least I want to play the audio, because that's why I say we need to exercise our rights. Oh, we're losing it. Even here in America, it's happening already, not just Facebooks.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
It's on the record.
Stop resisting.
And in many respects, you guys go into secret to hide it.
Excuse me.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting.
Yes, you are. Give me your arm. Give me your arm.
I'm lying on.
Give me your arm.
It's dislocated,
Give
man.
me your arm.
My left arm is
Give me your arm.
My left arm is dislocated. Damn it!
Give me your
I'm
arm.
trying to stand.
Stop hurting him.
I'm trying to stand. My left arm is. Ah!
Hold on. Stop fighting.
I'm not fighting. I'm on the ground.
Hold on.
And if you let me get my glasses on, I can see what's happening.
You're hurting him.
You guys are hurting me.
Stop hurting him.
I'm immobilized. I'm immobilized. You're going to dislocate my shoulder again. And look, would you pick up my glasses before you step on them?
Why does this require private pen?
We'll get you up first.
Sir, time to stand up. Well, how about giving me a new pen?
Hold on. We're going to get you up first. We'll get you up, all right?
I can stand up by myself.
We're going to get you up. We're going to
Shame
get
on you for
stand up
hurting
by
him.
myself.
Whoa.
I'm not a terrorist.
Sir, get up on your
I'm a
feet.
CIA
Roll him on his side.
27 years analyst and operations.
Now sit up, sir.
Waterboarding can never.
Sir, are you going to stand up for us, sir?
I'll stand up.
All right, come on, please stand up, please.
Never be declared. Oh, yes.
Come on and stand up for us.
Okay,
All right.
let me in here. Are you going to pick up my glasses?
So we'll take care of it. We just want to get you up first, all right?
Okay.
All right.
Waterboarding
Come on and stand up.
can never be
Come on and stand.
called.
Come on and have a seat.
She personally supervised it in Thailand.
Come on and stand up.
First black
Come on and stand
site.
up.
That's not a secret.
Stand up, sir.
That's only a secret because she won't recuse herself. She won't take my left or left.
All right, look.
My left
You
one
need
is
to
dislocated.
comply,
All right. I'll go out. Yeah.
All right.
I'll go out. But I wish that you wouldn't beat up an old man, huh?
You decided that you
You an
wanted to
officer?
demonstrate. You
I was
decided
an
to
officer
demonstrate.
too. Well, these guys are the thugs that
this way.
actually
Bring him this way.
torture people.
Come on this way.
Shame on you for hurting him.
CIA analyst and
I mean, really disgusting. By the way, let me give you the short story about this senior man. He's a former CIA senior officer, former CIA analyst turned whistleblower, Ray McGovern. He was arrested for exposing Gina Haspel's war crime. Gina Haspel is the new CIA director. Okay. Yes, he went to this meeting without a permit. Guess what? You don't need a permit to have your opinion. Maybe he was a little bit loud. I don't even think so, by the way. You can see the video. You can find them. Just Google it. Ray McGovern being arrested. More important is being beaten up. Okay? That's the point. He was forcibly removed, okay, from this United States Senate Intelligence Committee hearing last week. Okay? That's the point. Why we don't see this is happening here? Okay? Let's say people don't want to hear that. You know what? Waterboarding, we can have difference of opinion, doesn't matter. The point is, no American man should be treated like that, especially no senior man should be treated like that. And by the way, I really believe, unfortunately, Mr. McGovern is right. Okay? This woman that now she's going to run for the most important intelligence agency that we have in the country, when we have such history, by the way, people say, oh, we need waterboarding because after all, 9/11, maybe, you know what, it's 2017, wake the crap up, okay? You really believe that 9/11 was what you've been told still? You really believe that we needed to go to Afghanistan when we know there was no evidence? You know very well. I mean, come on. I just invite you to. I did show about 9/11 after show, and this is like now what, 16 years, 17 years. I mean, it's insane. Okay, even a blind person knows 3 buildings went down and only 2 planes hit them. Go to see the Pentagon. Again, you know, I'm just talking about this for people that they knew. And there are a lot of people there in the intelligence, former military, retired generals, they can see, and there is being written books, videos, essays. There is so much. The only reason now people don't want to believe because they refuse to see the truth about 9/11. And that's why this is all connected. And then you will see why waterboarding and why somebody like this anyway. I mean, at this point, you tell me anybody into any type of levels. If I'm a regular guy, okay, with an accent, I can even speak straight English, I can figure it out that 9/11 was for sure a bunch of lies. They told us a bunch of lies. Was the biggest deception in the history of this country, okay? And I'm a regular guy. Imagine one of these people, especially people that they were there in a position of power and in these intelligence agencies. They know everything. They probably were part of it, directly or indirectly. And unfortunately, you know, when you justify waterboarding and also you justify this invasion of other countries, remember, Iraq, we know, at the end of the day, there was no connection with 9/11. But you know what? After all, the puppet of Saddam needed to be removed now, like they did with Gaddafi. Of course, now like they want to do with Assad in Syria. That's the point. So, you know, please, all I can say is this: regardless if we may believe or not on the same things, nobody should be treated like this man, especially a senior man. I mean, they almost broke his arms. I mean, these people, these agents, these Capitol Police, whatever they are, they really are an example of what police, law enforcement shouldn't be. These are, in my opinion, worse than Gestapos. They look like Gestapo. They dress them up like the Gestapo. And, you know, really, really terrible. All this man was saying was, bloody Gina, you are a torturer. And it's true. She was torturing people. I mean, okay? And they just knock him down. Anyway, so that's my point. And as I said, you know, you don't need to agree with me. I don't care if you think 9/11 was what it was and if you believe in torture. I hope at least that you believe that nobody should be denied the First Amendment, especially when it's peaceful. Of course, that's what I'm talking about. And shouldn't be used violence to suppress their First Amendment. Now, a little break. Talking about First Amendment, I want to remind you, this station, K-Talks, I'm amazed. I'm amazed because when, you know, the first owner, or at least the owner that got me into this, Dave Ace, sold the station, I was a little worried. You know, Dave Ace, I had things I didn't agree with him, but one thing I always give him credit. He always was adamant about being sure that everybody on this station has their First Amendment. We agree or not, doesn't matter. It's my opinion, backed by facts. I always try to do that. But even when we did agree together, he never told me what to say. So when he sold the station, I said, okay, the show is over, honestly. I was worried. Maybe the new owner doesn't want that. Maybe I don't even know his opinions. All I can say is, really, I'm amazed and thankful because that's exactly what is the spirit of America. K-Talks, I believe, is probably one of the few radio stations on the air. This is not an internet station, okay? Yes, you can listen to my show on the internet, but this show is on the airwaves. And I always comply, of course, with the FCC regulations. I mean, we don't do casting, but when it comes down to pushing the limits of First Amendment, especially you listen to me next Sunday, I have some interesting things going on. We will do it like a competition, me and with this lady. I call her the Koran burner. Okay, but think about it. There is no other station I really know I could do this. I'm amazed. You know, try to talk about 9/11. about this type of conspiracy on other stations. Try to talk about President Obama, that for me is not even a president, he's an imposter, and he's born in Kenya. I completely believe that. Talk about, Michelle Obama is a tranny. Yes, she is. Talk about, President Bush is a war criminal. Okay, I completely believe, and much more. You would be shut down so many times, no matter what. So that's my point. I am thankful to live in America, and I'm thankful that I have this opportunity to broadcast on K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. So please support the station if you can. If you're listening to the tri-state area, support the sponsors. Now, as a general, I'm an independent producer. This is my show. I don't work for the station. I appreciate your support too, of course. It takes me time and energy. And sometimes, I tell you, I come on the air, I open my mouth, and there's always somebody who is not happy with me. Of course, I'm not here to be 100% make happy everybody. I don't want that. Never going to happen. If you want to make everybody happy, it's going to be impossible. I am who I am. No apologies. You may like me, don't like me, that's fine, but at least you know what you get. And the point is, sometimes, you make your choices. And I'm a vocal person. And people may say, you know what? I hate you. Fine. If you want to hate me, that's fine. It's your problem. But at the same time, they try also to come after you and try to censor you or boycott you, do other things. So I always appreciate the support of my listeners. And even if you don't believe in what I say, at least I hope you appreciate the fact that on this station, I give freedom of speech to everybody. I have no partisanship allegiances. You know very well, I'm not a Republican. I'm completely no party, okay? I'm just for the truth. That's it. And sometimes I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you. Sorry, I was wrong, okay? Normally I'm right, by the way. But that's another story. Now, so I appreciate your support. If you want to support my show, it's very simple. Wherever you are around the world, you can go to www.zanna, ZANNA.us. You can find there all my songs. I have more than 100 songs. Even if you download a couple of songs for 99 cents, I appreciate it. That really helps. There are also my books, my collection of all the poems I wrote and the lyrics of my songs, lyrics and poems available on Amazon. You can also find my latest book, Perfectly Crazy, 69 erotic poems. You can download it on Amazon. And of course, you can see the other things I do. You can go to, by the way, the coffee, zannacoffee.com, and my other businesses, as you know. So I invite you to support, because this is about free market. This is not about imposing or extorting your tax dollar like the government would do, or if you listen to NPR, with part of their money there, your tax dollar, like it or not. So anyway, I appreciate your help. Little break, and we go for the second part of the show. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. Don't go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid,
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid,
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Are you ready to get lost in lust? Immerse yourself in a thunderstorm of emotions and passion. Order Gianluca Zanna's new book, Perfectly Crazy, 69 erotic visions and love poems with forbidden erotic Italian phrases. Perfectly Crazy by Gianluca Zanna. Available all over the world at Amazon.com and www.zanna.us.
Here we go. We are back and there was a little break. Now, I want to, when I say I really want to push the freedom of speech, people say, why you have to do this? Why you have to offend people? First of all, I don't like to offend people in general. I respect people. I just don't like bullies out there. I don't like people that they think that they can put fear into us, because that's what their religion pretty much preaches. And then, because of that fear, we will be silent. I'm always been very loud and open about it. I don't care about religions at all. I don't care if you're a Mormon, Christian, Catholic. I don't care if you are a Buddhist. But when it comes down to a few exceptions, for example, a Muslim, religion, people say, it's a religion of peace. Are you kidding me? Did you ever read their book? Are you insane? People say, oh yeah, but you know what? Even the Bible has violence. Oh, I'm sure there is. There are very terrible things in the Bible too, especially in the Old Testament. Of course, that's what the Bible is about. But point is, in the last 100 years at least, I never heard anybody committing any type of violent crime like now. Pretty much is common in most of these religious enforced theocracies. The Quran is their law. It is not just a religion. It's not just their moral compass. It is their law. And they go by the book. Okay? I mean, look how many women they've been murdered just because somebody raped them. Yeah, you get raped, and guess what? You get also killed. They don't go after your, assailant. Think about it. Or gays. Or think about it. Just because you don't want to be part anymore of this cult. Yes. They call them apostates or whatever. If you are Muslim and then you say, okay, I renounce that. I want to be a free man or free woman. Bang. If you're in Pakistan, probably, or I don't know, Saudi Arabia or countries like that, they kill you. Okay? Or your life can be very much in danger. That's for sure. And many, many other cases. And now not just there. Go in England, go in some parts also of the United States, you will see that Sharia law is becoming more and more like the law of the land. So that's why when this happens, I need to talk over it. I need to talk about it. That's a fact. And I'm sure there are some decent human beings about the Muslim population. But maybe they're not really Muslims. Maybe they're just human beings that they were born Muslim and then they convinced that's their belief. By the end of the day, they don't give a damn. Okay? That's the bottom line. If you really truly are a good Muslim, I deeply believe there is no compatibility with the civil society. That's a fact. Every other belief somehow can fit. But Muslims, this is not about live and let live. This is about or you convert or you die. That's the bottom line. So the real true religion of peace will happen after you are converted or you're dead. Simple as that. That's a fact. Read their book. So but the scary thing is not the Muslim religion themselves, because they could stay there wherever they are. I don't care. But the problem is that we've been sold out to have open gates to flood our nations with this new cult by millions. And these people, by the way, they reproduce themselves like rats. Okay? Look in England, for example, in Europe. They do at least 4 or 5 children. And these people will vote. And they will believe that democracy, that's what it is, the system. That means 51% of the people can somehow steal your rights or your properties or your freedom. At least in Europe, that's the way it is. And they will try to make it here too, by the way. They're already trying. But look in England. UK proposes 6 years prison sentence for criticizing Islam. This is the real law. This is, by the way, out of jihadwatch.org. The draft law speaks only about criticizing religion, but everyone knows which religion is meant. By the way, I should be able to criticize every religion. I should be able to criticize the Pope. I should be able to criticize the Catholic, the Buddhist, everybody. Okay? That's the right of every human being. You can criticize me too. It's okay. I'm not going to listen. But the point is, you should not be spending 7 years or 6 years or 1 day in jail. So that's what exactly trying to do in Europe. The draft law speaks about criticizing religion. UK proposes 6 year prison sentences for online posts against religion, transgender. Okay? This is by Liam Deacon on Breitbart, the famous conservative, what they want to call it, or whatever, online news. And there are some good articles, by the way. I like Breitbart. People promoting hostility, between quotes, towards a religion or the transgender online could get much harsher sentences, up to 6 years in jail, especially if they have a large online audience, according to the new proposal. So they tell you, if you have only 3 listeners like myself, probably I get only 1 year. But if you have maybe Alex Jones, he has millions of listeners, you're going to get 6 years. That's my point. Now, how do we fight this? Well, I cannot tell you how you fight in Europe because I don't want to put you in trouble. You live there, you will be persecuted. I was there. That's why I left Europe. I left Italy. I tell you in America how we can fight it. We exercise this First Amendment even more. That's the bottom line. We remind to the rest of the world that this is America. And maybe doing that, we can inspire other people around the world to say, you know what, that's the way we should be living. We should all have freedom of speech. And maybe that's the true way we can really spread freedom. Not going around, invading countries that there is no business beside, of course, the corporate, and more important is globalist bankers' businesses. That's not the way you spread freedom. They call it democracy, by the way, these freaking bastards. Spreading democracy. Our founding fathers will throw up if you say the word democracy, by the way. Now, you want to inspire other nations to be free? You lead by example. Sure, that what really means to have freedom of speech with a Bill of Rights that defends this against a government that will try to prosecute you for your freedom of speech. And maybe other nations, people of other nations, they will say, screw that. We want that too. We would like to have also the right to defend our life and freedom, even with force if necessary. It's called the Second Amendment. So that's my point. That's why I want to use this show as much as I can to spread this concept of freedom. And that's why I will definitely, next Sunday, hopefully we're going to have it. We had a problem last week with some, technical problem. My computer's monitor was freaking out. I had to get, the delay for this interview. But my point is, freedom of speech will die if we do not exercise it. So be ready for next Sunday. Now, talking about all these new millennial, you have all these new young people that you see them around, brainwashed into this, let's say, school, universities, and they think socialism is cool. That's freaked me out more than everything else, because these people, they are already so being brainwashed and being completely mind control. And now, they are the new generation of citizens that will go to the ballots. They don't even know what they're doing. They have no idea what means socialism. They've never been living in a socialist country. By the way, it's pretty much the first step before the communism. What is the difference? Well, technically, a socialist, you die by the vote, or at least, they take your rights by the vote. Communism, they will take it by guns. But I already said many times, it's the same. Because even socialism, they will take your rights by guns, by violence. Try don't you pay the property taxes, okay? Try don't you pay your taxes, they will come with guns at the end. That's the bottom line. I want to play again this little audio that I think it's important. I think it's important to remind. Maybe I already played in the past, but I'm never going to be enough. I've tried to reach out, out there, anybody that is still believing that communism or socialism is the right thing for humanity. I beg you, just please open your mind. Sometimes, we all may be deceived. at least if you have a good heart, open your mind and listen.
It's 100 years since communism began.
Street by street and building by building, the Bolsheviks took over.
The first revolution was in Russia.
In those fantastic days, the sun seemed to have risen at last.
No longer would capitalists exploit workers. Now the people would prosper together under Lenin. Some people resisted, so Lenin ordered them killed. You need to hang without fail, he said, so the public sees the death of the rich, the bloodsuckers. Stalin continued the killing. Millions of people starved because it turned out that when farmers can't control their property, they don't produce much food. Yet today, many leftist Antifa activists carry communist flags. Some say, well, Russia just didn't do communism right. But when has anyone done it right? The Chinese said they would make communism work. Instead, a mob of teenagers called the Red Guard lined up skeptics and executed them. Millions were murdered. Yet even after years of murder, many Chinese people still believe. Look at these people. They are crying, not because they're unhappy. They're crying with joy and excitement just because they got to see their leader, Chairman Mao.
I was brainwashed for entire those school years. Mao was like a god to me. I could listen to him talking to me from the clouds. Just like a religion, right?
But Chinese communism failed even the people who worshipped it.
I was so hungry all the time. My uncle told me how to trap rats. But pretty soon everybody's trying to catch rats. The rats run out too. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Lily Tang was a little girl then. She loved Mao.
Then he died. I really did not know what to believe. It's like I started to realize, was that lie? I was 12. You look at my picture when he died. I was wearing big black bed and crying my eyes out.
But about 8 years later,
I met a U.S. exchange student. We made a dancing party. We started dancing. That type opened up. He said, Lee, come to my room next day. Visit. I want to show you something. He showed me a pocket constitution. He read to me first the paragraph, Declaration of Independence. It's like a light bulb came on. I said, I have rights. All men created equal. Doesn't matter which country, which race, which color. I have rights. He put something in my head. I come to America. My family all were crying when I left. I did not know anybody in the U.S., no friends in Austin, Texas, just sponsor.
Lily came to America with nothing. But here she thrived. And last year,
my name is Lily Tom Williams.
She ran for U.S. Senate as a libertarian. She polled high enough to make the debates.
American citizen by choice.
I got 100,000 votes.
Her message was that life is terrible without freedom.
I lived under single-payer system, socialist medicine for 24 years. It was total nightmare.
After all my sufferings in China, my awakening process, this is what I was born to do.
Before she became a libertarian, she became a Republican. But then,
in 2008, when they bailed out the banks, when Bush came out to say capitalism failed.
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
It just shocked me. They use taxpayers' money to bail the banks. And I thought the Republicans supposed to be for limited government. They expanded Medicaid. No child left behind. And civilians, all that stuff. I got so mad. I reached libertarian in 2008, so I become like an activist.
When Colorado debated gun control, she posted this picture on Facebook with the caption, "I once was a slave. I will never be one again."
I was holding my AR-15 to send a strong message.
You remember what happened in Tiananmen Square 1989?
She told Colorado's legislature the history of China might have been different had the Chinese had a right to bear arms.
What if we had guns? What if we had unlimited shots? History might be different.
Now she speaks at colleges. She says many young people haven't learned the lessons of communism.
Total brainwashed. Don't know the truth, trust authority, and trust the government.
So I hope more students listen to Lily Tang Williams.
Big, powerful government, it's very scary. It will keep growing like cancer, will never stop. If you empower government, not the individuals, we're going to lose this free country. That's not what I came here for. I got 3 children now. It's like, I'm going to fight here. I'm going to try to wake you. It's like, don't do any crap to my country.
Well, I say, God bless you. Seriously, God bless you. Wherever you believe, bless you. Because women like that, people like that, immigrants like that, give me still the chill on my back. This is exactly the America I came for. And sometimes, scares the hell out of me when I see people out there that they were born here. And they look at me like, huh? What? You don't like the government? What? You don't like Medicare? You don't like Obamacare? You don't like this care? You don't like that? Just leave me alone. Seriously. They've been so domesticated. You've been so drugged in every way, even physically way, by the way. And you don't even know it. You became a slave. That's the spirit of these people, that they already went through this totalitarianism, this oppression. And they came here because they knew that this country originally, even if not perfect, it was the best, the most, let's say, unique experiment, human history, that I don't care. People can say whatever they want. You can say, yes, of course it's not perfect, it's still planet Earth. But nowhere in the world you had an experiment like the Republic of these United States of America. That's a fact. The only reason why now we are in such trouble and we are losing it, because it's our fault. We did let it go for so long. We've been, as this woman said, we let this cancer called government go out of proportion. Supposed to be a small government. Now it's completely deep state, so deep that it doesn't matter who is elected. This is about worse than the mafia. These people, these controllers, they're there at this point for generations. Now, President Trump last week called the MS-13 worse than animals. I'm not a Trump. You know that. I have a lot of things I criticize about President Trump. But, I must give credit where credit is due. I cannot believe what type of, let's say, bias these medias, mainstream medias, completely leaving words before his sentence, keeping this conversation out of context. When he was talking about this worse than animals, he was talking about the MS-13s. And the point is, if you believe that these people, they are good people, well, I don't even think animals should be called MS-13, because animals are much better. Animals, they don't torture people, they just kill them. Okay? Listen to this. This is serious.
Bluntly.
We're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals.
Well, if anything, that's a mild description. Dogs are animals, and a lot of them sleep on the bed. You wouldn't want to be anywhere near MS-13. They traffic in drugs, weapons, and human beings, young girls. Unlike animals, they kill for fun, often with machetes. They terrorize the poor and the vulnerable. They've made El Salvador the most dangerous country in the world. There is literally no defending them, and yet the left is defending them. Here's how the New York Times described what the president said, quote, Trump lashed out at undocumented immigrants during a White House meeting, calling those trying to breach the country's borders animals. Over at Jeff Bezos' vanity publication, The Washington Post, there was this, quote, Trump evokes an ugly history of dehumanization. So the president is a Nazi for criticizing a violent street gang. Newspapers haven't been this yellow since they started the Spanish-American War. For her part, over at the House, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi raced to the nearest microphone to defend the dignity of MS-13. Watch this.
We're all God's children. There's a spark of divinity in every person on earth. And so when the President of the United States says about undocumented immigrants, these aren't people, these are animals, you have to wonder, does he not believe in the spark of divinity, the dignity and worth of every person? Every day that you think you've seen it all, along comes another manifestation of why their policies.
Yeah, I wish this whore, she's a whore, without offense to the whore, because they have much more, dignity they have. At least, they charge you and you tell, the price. They're much more honest. This freaking disgusting human being called Nancy Pelosi, she will talk the same about sparkle of divinity, okay, even in the unborn children that she advocates the abortion for.
On immigration is fundamentally a lie. The media tell you every day that every immigrant, legal or not, is a future brain surgeon or tech company founder. Therefore, immigration controls are unnecessary. If they admit that MS-13 is actually bad and must be stopped, they'd have to also admit that when some countries send their people here, they aren't sending their best. A lot of immigrants are great, for sure. Some of them are rapists, though. Some join MS-13. That's just true. They're not all the same because people aren't all the same. That's the point of our immigration law. They're not the same. We should sort the good from the bad.
Anyway, that was Tucker. I don't have TV, as you know. I don't watch TV, but I like to find these little snippets on the internet, and I think he's really one of the few hosts on that I respect and like, and he brings very good points. So that's the truth, guys. Think about it. Look at this propaganda machine. And unfortunately, many people, they go along because they can barely read the headlines. And if the mainstream news tell you that, hey, by the way, Trump called immigrants or undocumented immigrants, animals, that's the truth. And some people, they know it's not true, but they will just go along for their agenda. So this is very sad, okay? The fact is, please, use your brain. Don't believe anything I say, but more important, don't believe anything anybody says. Always go find the sources and understand the mainstream media there is not to inform you, but is to control you. That's a fact. Okay. Now, there are people out there that really believe that the agenda of open borders is good for them because they want a socialism, a global government. So they will lie and do everything they can to pursue their agenda. Now, this show is over for this Sunday. I appreciate your help. In supporting the show. I appreciate your feedback. By the way, be ready for next Sunday. If you want to be on the show, I welcome you. Just to let you know, I cannot have you like I used to have for sometimes, too much time. The show is a different format now. So, but if you want to be on, even for 5 minutes, something to say, I welcome. By the way, I'm opening a new project. I'm launching a new project, a gym. It's called Kingman Force on Force. Krav Maga, self-defense, firearms training, and beyond. If you are a Krav Maga or self-defense instructor, please contact me. Go to www.kingmanforceonforce.com. We are have opening positions, okay? Talk to you next Sunday. Thank you very much. Ciao.
See the light.